All right, so good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you are having a wonderful Tuesday. And thank you all for coming on this late. I'm Ashley. I'm one of the 4K leaders on our team, and I'm just very thankful to be able to do this work with me with you guys and kind of kickstart our afternoon. So for me, sometimes, because I know depending on how your day goes, because I know there's some that probably will later do a night shift or depending on how their mornings are. So sometimes, the afternoon is your best outlet on being able to kind of like get on and do the interactions and do focus IPAs and do the things that you need to do in the business. So that was also one of the reasons why I chose to create this work with me in the afternoon for those that are more of a late start person. So one thing I want us to start with is going on Facebook. So if you haven't gone on Facebook yet, if you click on the search bar, any of you that have done it, you can search birthdays, and then birthdays should be able to pop up of anybody that is on your list if you have not done birthdays yet. So I'm just gonna only do for like not even a minute. So then that way you can at least wish anyone happy birthday. You could even, sometimes some of them don't have it where you can post on their timeline. So you send them a personal message. And if you know them well enough, apps obviously make it more personable. Not just that simple generic happy birthday, but if you know them on a more intimate level, definitely get creative because one, that's just building that relationship, that's building that connection with that person. And that might start up a conversation that later down the road, if they've been watching you for a while, that they may later on ask, hey, what is it that you do or anything like that. So just, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to just kind of do that if you haven't done that yet this morning. All right, we're gonna go into now on our Facebook, on our stories. And one thing I try to do is I'll scroll my stories on the top all the way down to the most recent, kind of like what you do on Instagram, to your most recent people. And one thing I don't know if everybody realizes, say there's somebody, whether you're following a fellow Thriver on our team, you can always mute their stories. So that way they're not always popping up. So you're not just getting Thrivers on your stories. And then that way you're clearing up, sorry about that. Puppy. That way you're able to just see those that you follow that aren't thriving and being able to interact more as opposed to just seeing thrive on your friends list on their stories. So we're going to do 3 minutes, just interacting, don't just do hearts or emojis, actually have conversations. If you see something that you like, comment on their stories. You don't have to comment on every single story that they do, just something that sparks your interest or catches your attention. And then if there is not something that you see that catches your interest, that might be the connection or the relationship that you have may not necessarily be there anymore. And you can always unfollow or mute their stories. So 3 minutes, we're going to go on stories and interact there on Facebook. For anyone that's just joining us, we are right now on stories on Facebook, just interacting in there for anyone that just joined us. All right. So something that I've been personally doing as far as even like growing that interaction or getting people to kind of either see my stories or see my posts more is I go on a post that I've created that might not be Thrive related, and I go on how many people have either reacted to the post or commented on the post. And then I'll go under their page and then kind of look at the most recent things, depending on what it is, and seeing through there as far as growing that connection and growing those relationships that way. And then that too, like there's been plenty of times where people say when you comment and do things like that, that boosts up your algorithm for them to see you more. So I want you to personally go under your page on Facebook, because right now we're still on Facebook. I want you to go on your page, look at a post that you posted in the last day or so, where it's gotten a lot of interaction. Because sometimes, yes, not everyone reacts or comments on our Thrive posts, but they definitely react to posts that they may feel more connected with, depending on what it is. So I want you to do that for the next 3 to 4 minutes. Go on there, look at who's been commenting or reacting to it that are non-thrivers, and build those relationships through their posts and things that they've shared, because there's a reason also why you became friends on Facebook. So building those connections, building those relationships. And if you haven't done a post like that, I would encourage you to do that, because you don't want to just always post thrive, thrive, thrive. Yes, we promote thriving. Yes, this is our business, but you also, and Lindsay has said this plenty of times, there's been plenty of our leaders that have mentioned this, that we were us too before we became Thrive. So you want to also have that personal, like, depending on what your personality is, that also gets people really intrigued and interested, and that's how you grow in building those relationships. They want to see the other sides of you besides just Thrive. So I want you to do that for the next 3 to 4 minutes. Kind of do that, go on there, go on your friends feeds, and building those relationships there for the next 4 minutes. All right, so we are now going to head over to Instagram and go on stories now. So same thing, kind of scrolling all the way down to the most recent and interacting there, not trying to do the reaction emojis or anything like that, really actually having solid conversations. And sometimes they'll respond right away, then other times it might take them a few hours or the next day to respond. But at least you're being more personal with this comments you are making. So we're going to do 3 minutes on Instagram, and then we will come back. All right, so just finished up with our story. So whichever comment you're making right now, finish that up. And then what I do is, because depending on the day, I am either adding people or I'm unfollowing people, or I'm doing those, like I said, focus IPAs where I'm personally just either focusing on the newest people that I've followed and interacting on their posts, stories, and things like that. So one thing, I'm trying to remember what it was that I started doing was, so if you go under your following, not followers, following, anyone that's new, you'll go under sort by default, you'll go onto your latest. So that it'll pop up then your latest people. And then if you go on there, and it'll usually pop up if they posted a story or a recent post. If not, then you'll just have to tap on them and then go on. But if they have no posts, that means you need to unfollow them. So like this person I had followed, they don't have anything, so I'm going to unfollow them. And then you'll just kind of go on the do that for a little bit, and then making sure you're adding like at least 4 to 5 words under their post, depending on how recent it is. If they haven't posted in over a year, you need to unfollow them, because that's taking away somebody that could be under your that could be taking away from somebody that could be a potential, or a person that you could just grow in that relationship with. So I want us to do that. So again, you'll go sort by date followed, go under latest, and then just scroll down for the next 3 minutes, go through, see how far the last time they've posted, last time they posted in their stories. If it's something that is, you realize, okay, we don't have the same things in common, unfollow them. And also something that I also personally learned is that it's okay to follow other network marketers. That doesn't mean they're going to try to convert me over, because I know what I believe in as far as Thrive. I've been doing it 3 years and they're not taking me. So I'm not worried about that. But they could possibly see you and realize, oh, I don't have to cold message. Oh, I don't have to pay for a website fee. They may see what you're talking about and they may get interested. They may not, but it's nothing wrong with building those relationships, and even things that maybe they do, maybe creative things that they do in their stories that you may be like, wow, that's actually a really good idea. You may be like, hey, thanks for sharing that helpful tip. People appreciate that, because I've had people do that with me where they see me do something and they're like, oh, that's really cool. So do that for the next 3 minutes, and then we're going to go into posting and a couple more things. So 3 minutes on interacting on your followers. All right, so let's go into posting. So if you have not created a post yet, one thing I would highly suggest is making sure that if you do not do the planning Zooms with Christy, I would highly suggest that, Christina Tammy, I would highly suggest that. And she has all of them up on her YouTube page under her name, Christina Tammy. Definitely do that, because when you plan out your weeks, and remembering to also incorporating your real life, but incorporating like the days of the week of things that you're going to post Thrive specifically, whether it's you doing a transformation pick on Tuesdays, or payday, or the business, or a product post for one of the days. That definitely will help also, so that way you're not overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to post for today, because you've already got it set. So even if you get you don't have to get an expensive like planner to lay out your week. You can get something that's for literally $2 at Walmart, and just write down, okay, Mondays I'm going to post this specific thing about Thrive, whether it's business or customer based. Tuesday is this, Wednesday is this, because then that way it gives you a layout. And then one of the other things that I have come throughout this journey is making sure you're self-developing, whether it is you working out, you listening to a podcast, you listening to an audiobook or reading a book, or you doing a devotional. I do a mix of almost all of that, because too, sometimes when you're in that flow of actually listening and letting it implement in your mind, that's actually where you can sometimes find some great creative content that you want to talk about. And then remembering also to pull from your fives, the things that made you start this business in the first place. Why did you say yes? Just going back to the basics is so good. Sometimes I have to remember to go back to the basics as to why I started, because I've been doing this for so long. You know, that is the one thing that I will always say is nobody's ever above starting from the beginning or going back to the basics of how they started this business. So making sure you're using your why, making sure you're adding those things along your posts. So today is payday. You know, you can definitely talk about how paydays are amazing. And one thing I will say is, I know sometimes we get into that headset of, well, I haven't received a paycheck yet. That you're going to at one point. So wouldn't it be great to talk about how amazing it still is that every single week that opportunity is available, as opposed to saying, well, I'm not going to share about it until it happens. That even is the same thing for VIPs. When you post about the VIP bonus in the first 14 days. I did not earn a VIP bonus, but I'm still going to talk about it, because that doesn't mean somebody that decides to be a part of my team isn't going to hit VIPs. So I still want to be able to share how awesome it is, because it is for that potential and that person that is going to earn that. So making sure you're thinking about that. If you haven't yet shared about this Work With Me Zoom right now, do that. Megan did that already. She posted in her stories about the Work With Me Zoom. And if anybody that needs to find what everyone's Instagram handle is, definitely share it in the comments. I'll even share mine in the comments if you don't have me on Instagram. But definitely, even because sharing about that community, that is a huge thing. Sharing about how awesome this tribe is, how there's all these opportunities to hop on a training to continuously grow and learn in this business. So that is something that I would even encourage you to do too, is making sure you're sharing those things. And then what was the, and then for Instagram, when you're posting, so some people, depending on, either post their hashtags under their posts or they post it in the comments. I do both sometimes, depending on what it is. It doesn't really do too much, but make sure you have your hashtags all the way at the bottom if you're going to add it under your initial post. But most of the time I put it in my comment section, because then too, that boosts up the algorithm and that gets it bumped up a little bit more. And even on my reels, I'll put it on my comments. I don't put the hashtags under my reels. I do it in the comments, because then it gets, for some reason, it works better for me for whatever odd reason. Sometimes hashtags work better for people under their reels, but you work with what works best for you. And then also doing a self-audit on your Instagram feed, looking at how it looks. Does it look aesthetically pleasing? I don't know if you can probably see it that well, but One thing I added for my Instagram page is I added like a cute little border around. So, and using the same preset that I have, making sure it's very uniformed and really pretty. And then even with my IGTV, my reels, I'll keep it up on my main page for a while. And then probably after like 2 or 3 days, you can hit the top 3 dots on the top of a reel or your IGTV, and it says remove from profile grid. And then it'll still be there, but it just won't be the first thing somebody sees. People can then just search for your IGTV, your reels, and all of that, is especially if you're trying, depending on how uniformed you're having it. Because I have borders around my Instagram posts, that's why sometimes I don't have my IGTV and my reels all in the very forefront when they pop up on my Instagram page. But I always still share them and do all those types of things. So those are just some things that for Instagram. And if you haven't done highlights, I would definitely recommend you doing highlights, and do one that is very uniform with how your feed looks, depending on the colors. And you can save photos for free on Pinterest. Just go, it'll say like Instagram highlight photos, and then get a very uniform same thing, and then you can create your little highlights from the things you post in your stories, and that even incorporates with your files. So like I have one specifically for being a single mom, so lots of videos and pictures of my kids that I've posted in my stories. Church is one for me, so when I'm doing youth group or I'm worshiping, my day-to-day life I post in there, work, the gym. So you can add those things. And then I even have one specifically just for Thrive, for the tribe. So when people hit bonuses or they've earned this rank matching bonus or auto club or Vegas, I post that as my highlights in my stories. So then that way people also can see that, oh, okay, it's not just her talking about all that she's doing. There's other people on the team, on the tribe, that are also winning and doing all of these great things. So those are just some things that I try to do throughout the day. And one thing I would recommend on the days that you're not able to hit a work with me Zoom is setting a timer. So I am still getting better at setting a timer for myself. Sometimes I get into the land of squirrel brain and forget to set a timer. But even if you set a timer for at least 4 to 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes on stories on Facebook, 4 to 5 minutes on stories on Instagram, then posts and interactions, those types of things. And then that way you're not feeling like you're just on your phone all day, because I know that's what a lot of times that is the fear that everyone worries about is, oh, I don't want to be glued to my phone all day. You don't when you do that time blocking. You don't when you set a timer for, okay, this is when I'm going to interact on my post. And even if you chalk it up throughout your day of, okay, so from 8 to 8:15, I'm just going to solely focus on interacting in stories. So for those 15 minutes, you do half time on Instagram, half time on Facebook. Okay, good. Then you have a lunch break, say, and then you focus just solely on interacting on people's posts that have interacted on your posts. You take that 15 to 20 minutes, half Facebook, half Instagram, and then whatever else you needed to catch up on before you go to bed. Then that way you don't feel so overwhelmed that you have to do things, because some of us are moms, some of us have full-time jobs. I have a full-time job. I'm a teacher and I'm doing summer school right now. So I can understand that time is of the essence, but that's what's so beautiful about this business, is that you can do this anywhere. So you have that availability and opportunity to do this anywhere you go. So these are kind of like the helpful tips that I try to do. And these are the things that I want to be able to share with you guys. So that way you just don't feel so overwhelmed. And especially for those of you that are more of a late start type of day, to just get on your feet. So that is all I really have for this afternoon. I'm going to post this up on the team chat for anyone that missed the replay or had to hop off today. So, but thank you all so much for coming on and just being a part of this. And I will see you guys next Tuesday, 3:30. Have a great rest of your Tuesday.